Greetings, greetings.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Thanks for turning up, participating. Punctual, that's what I like to see. Okay, well, we'll get started because we like to be punctual here. So,
are you recording now?
Yes.
Lem, what good, brother?
Yeah.
You good?
Yes,
yeah,
sir. Nice to see you.
So yeah, man, thanks for coming. This podcast is going to be about vaccinations in the community. But before we get into it, we'll just have a brief discussion about what's been happening so far, because we had a flicks and chat the other day for the project. How did that go? How do you think that
was fantastic? That was fire. Like everything is in that. Like the blueprint is in that. Actually laid it out. He did use a lot of technical terms and he did go into a lot of deep information, but basically when you put it all together, what he said, he laid out the blueprint for a lot of things. He said some very, very serious things. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was about education and Black experience, weren't it, really? Following on from the flicks and chat, what we watched, the BBC documentary, weren't it?
Yeah, and basically, you know, he basically broke down for us in a I don't know, in a psychological way, our journey through the system. Because a lot of us have just gone through the system. You know, we're not all been fully aware of what's been happening to us, like, or what's been done to us, should I say. So he just brought that down fantastically. So, you know, I suggest everybody goes and watches that. So it's a good eye opener.
Well, on to today, like I said, as you can see, if you can see the title of the podcast, it's Vaccinations in the Community. Me, myself, I'm Gavin, and this is Kevin, who's been speaking. We're part of the Unity Project, Sheffield. So we're here to try and bring information and have discussions about things that affect us and try and raise us forward. So this one, like I said, is about the vaccinations. And the first thing what I'm going to say is, how much do we actually know about the vaccinations? Do you know what I mean? So we're told that everyone needs to be vaccinated. Yeah, but what do we know about them? The main two vaccinations, what we know about, if everyone can see it, the Pfizer one and the AstraZeneca one. So they're the two what they're giving out, they're distributing. Yeah, 2 doses of each. Yeah. So, but what do we know? What do we know about these vaccines?
I don't know anything. I'll be honest with you. I don't really watch the news or have a television, so you know what I mean. And I don't tune into the media like that, so I don't really know.
Yeah. Well, likewise. Yeah. Obviously, the pandemic came. Yeah. That says, they came out with these vaccinations and says we need to have them because it's gonna either stop us getting it or help us not to pass it on. And so right now, as you know, they're telling everyone to get vaccinated. That's the advice. Everyone needs to be vaccinated for our own safety. Yeah. So on this podcast, this is just views and opinions. It's not us saying what you should do. We're not medical professionals or anything like that. We're just talking and discussing about these things, what affect us and affect our children. So as you can see on the slide, there's the two vaccinations. There's the Pfizer one and there's the AstraZeneca one. Next slide. So this is what I found out about. It's only a little basic, but basically the Pfizer one's a biotech COVID jab. It's an mRNA vaccine.
Hey, hold on, Gav. Let me stop you a second. 1 second. Just put it on slideshow. Make it a slideshow.
Okay.
From current slide.
F5 is the quick thing to do it.
I see it there. See it there.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So Pfizer, that's a biotech COVID jab is a mRNA vaccine. So basically, the saying it's cutting edge technology. The vaccine works by introducing into the body genetic material called mRNA that contains the instructions to make the so-called spike protein of the coronavirus. Now, when it does this, it says in response to these proteins, the body's immune pathways are activated and a response that offers protection should we encounter the virus itself. So that's what the Pfizer one does. The AstraZeneca one, now this one is made from a weakened version of a common cold virus known as adenovirus from chimpanzees. Yeah, it has been modified to contain genetic material shared by the coronavirus. Now, this information, I've got this from the BBC News Health and the Guardian. So the links are going to be down below anyway, so people can go and check it out themselves to see that I'm not making up this. I'm just providing that information. Yeah. So these are what these viruses are. I mean, sorry, these vaccines are made of and what they do. So for me, I don't know if anybody in the chat understands what it's telling us that's in these vaccines, because I don't know who knows what mRNA is. Anybody? I'll open it up to anybody if anybody knows.
Well, I was going to say, like, as you said before, none of us are scientists and none of us are qualified or can even pretend to know anything about these things. So I think a lot of this, when it comes down to it, is about trust. You know, we have to basically trust that the information that you're giving us is correct, is accurate. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
Lem's got his hand up.
Yeah, I feel that, yeah. So it is about trust, and people form their own opinion on this, on any type of vaccine, whether it's just these recent modern ones or going back to measles, rubella, TB, syphilis, anything they try to, well, they've given us over the years. So, you know, people are becoming more aware of what things are and more aware of what things not to put in your body. So that's probably what has come more of this vaccine than any other vaccine ever before.
Yeah, because there is kind of like a health consciousness going off right now, isn't there, amongst some people?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying people are eating healthy, but people are definitely thinking a lot more about what they put in their bodies. That is a fact. Definitely. Yeah. Riz. You're on mute, Riz.
Yes. Sorry. Yeah. I was so for me, yeah, when I read this, yeah, because like you says, none of us are medical professionals or anything like that, yeah, but as we're all just common people, and basically it's us common people that they're wanting us to be vaccinated. So if we as common people don't understand it, then are we just going to flock and get it done? Because there's been a lot of talk about a lot of hesitancy within our community to get these vaccinations. So what are the actual like reasons why we don't want these vaccinations?
It's about trust. Because they've done their best to inform us. Like, I can't say, you know, like, if you were somebody to watch the news or to watch all certain things, then they do go to extent to try to explain it to the common people. Do you know what I mean? To make them understand, like, this is what it does, and this is the Pfizer, and this is the other one. So it's just that, like, a lot of people don't believe what they're being told, or they're a bit dubious because of who's telling you.
I'll agree as well. So because I've done, well, this next slide is the UK household longitude study, and they found that there's hesitancy amongst the population in general, but the most people that are hesitant are the Black, the Asians, and they found that it was like 71% out of the survey, what they did, out of 12,035 participants.
Wow.
So with it comes in with the Black people, this is why we're hesitant. And they found that, like he says, trust trust was one of the main reasons for them not wanting to take the vaccine. Yeah. So,
And you know
like,
what?
like,
Sorry, go on, Rizla. Sorry to interrupt.
like you said, so for the reasons, we've got the trust, we've got the effects are unknown, and also lower perception of risk. A lot of our community, we're like, well, we not gonna get it. Yeah, it's their thing. We're not gonna get it. I don't need no vaccine. Yeah, it's not really gonna. I haven't seen nobody with it really and truly. So why do I need a vaccine? Yeah, go on, let me speak. See, and
You're right about the hesitancy and the narrative from the beginning has changed from initially when it came out saying that obviously that we were more susceptible 2 or 3 times more likely to die from it, 2 or 3 times, up to 4 times more likely to get it. That has all changed. That has all gone out the window. You don't hear anything about us still getting it. There's people have been getting it and people have passed away from it. But in terms of as an ethnicity and demographic wise, that just disappeared. All of a sudden we were dying because we're in the NHS, because we were shop workers, because we're in the tube station. Now, nothing at all. You don't hear anything about Black and Asian people dying. Nothing from that narrative driven to that you guys are dying more. I remember at work, I said it.
That's a good point, that, you know.
Me not go to work and say to people, me not go to work because me 2-3 times more likely to die than you. And some of my colleagues, they were saying, but what do you mean? I'm saying, well, the government's saying that me's like more likely to die than you. So why don't you go and do these tasks, not me? But then within a few months, that's all gone. No one talks about it. No one's mentioned it at all. And the narrative has changed again. Yes, hesitancy. We know the reasons why hesitancy is high. Again, I made points of it. I said that in recent times, the trust issues, it's not the 1940s. It's not the 1800s anymore. It's not the 1960s or 70s. We are more independent. So just because somebody says something doesn't necessarily mean we follow that narrative.
Good points there, Lem. Fantastic point. I forgot that, but one thing I am learning is like actions speak louder than words, and sometimes there's certain evidence in front of your face that you're choosing not to look at, and that for me personally, that would be one of them. Where it's like, hold on, they were saying we're 3 times more likely to die, but now 3 times we're not all dying.
Yeah.
And also that with that same point, 3 times more likely to die, but then the one in us to be the frontline workers. We're the majority of the frontline workers. So you're trying to put us in harm's way. Yeah. Knowing full well that we're likely to catch it more or likely to die.
Yeah, that's why I always said this for me, as I'm a vocal person. So I would challenge those kind of things. Whereas some of us in certain positions, in certain careers and certain jobs are frightened to stand up and say, no, I'm a security guard. I'm not going to be stood outside mingling with all these people. Whereas I would be saying that. And I would use the tools that are given to me against that narrative.
Yeah, well, I think that if, as a result of what they've said, if you was paranoid or, you know, worried for your life as a Black person because you've been told that you're 3 times more likely to die, then I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. Like, what do you think is supposed to happen? If somebody tells you that, you know, you have to go lock up in your house.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, so I hear you. I was a bit dubious at first. Like, obviously, me again. I don't know. I'll be honest, because sometimes you have to be honest and just say when you don't know. I don't know. As I said, I'm not a scientist. I'm not a politician, so I don't know. But I do know that, like, this is serious though, because people are dying. And like, you know what I mean? This COVID thing, like at first it was a bit of a mythical thing, wasn't it? Like we were like, is it there? Is it not there? Is it some joke thing? Or is it some, but no, it's actually very, very serious, and people are dying. Yeah, black people, all kind of people. So
everybody, yeah.
yeah,
But
you know what I mean? So,
but again, I feel that it's just like many other diseases, what people have every day, living with their life. People, hidden disabilities, hidden health conditions. We don't know, unless you get tested for specific diseases. A lot of times you don't know if you've got disease. So, and that was for me is what this is. I've lived my life as normal throughout this whole period, because I feel that we all, yes, I'm not dismissing it. I know people have been sick from it, people have been ill from it, people have recovered from it, people have passed away from it. But we should not be, just like any other type of disease, we have to not necessarily learn to live with it, because it can be bad, but it's just, we do what we can in the time we have here.
okay.
I agree. So moving on, yeah. So we the vaccine came out, rushed through, yeah. So really, yeah, this next slide goes through the normal stage process and the process of the COVID vaccine. So basically, the process of a vaccine usually takes 10 to 15 years. Yeah, and that's on this a combination of public and private involvement. So as you can see on the left, there's the stages. Where it says first stages, exploratory, laboratory, more experimental, preclinical, all these like phase 1 vaccine trials, phase 2, phase 3, all these trials. Yeah. Now on the process of the COVID vaccine, when I was looking for this, it came up with things like early efforts by scientists at Oxford University made them, what's it say, base vaccine against MERS provided the necessary experimental experience and groundwork to develop an adenovirus vaccine for COVID. So basically, these things made them be able to skip out a lot of these stages. Yeah, the ability to fast track research in clinical trials was a direct result of this worldwide cooperation. So from what I'm gathering from this, it's saying because it was a worldwide pandemic, everybody grouped together and they were able to skip, or they were able to fast track, as they say, these process, what would take years, because more people are doing it around the world, it doesn't take. So like I say, one of the potential benefits of the combined trials, particularly in phase 2 and 3, yeah, that since the vaccine is being evaluated in subgroups of individuals, results from the study expedite the identification of patent factors that impact the vaccine safety or efficiency. So the way to, because the trials are combined, these phase 2 and, well, yeah, phase 2 and 3 stages, which is being done, I don't know, as I say, by subgroups in it. So different people, which give results. So these are all the reasons, basically, so it shows them how safe it was and efficient it is, isn't it? Because this is what they're telling us, because they've done it with different many subgroups and that different many trials with different many people. They've been able to evaluate how safe and how effective it is. So this is the reason why it's took, what is it, a year, 2 years? A year. Now, I don't know about anybody else, and I'm not discrediting, or like I said before, but the fastest vaccine was the mumps, yeah? The mumps vaccine, and that took 4 years to develop, yeah?
Okay. Yeah.
So this one's been developed in 2 years, and I don't know, but for me, processes are put in place so that things get done properly. And if you skip processes, yeah, then things aren't going to be done properly. So if something takes 10 to 15 years, it's not taking 10 to 15 years just because you're only trying it on one person. You need to wait to see what the effects are on that person or them people. You need to check to see. So that takes a period of time. So how within this stage have you been able to get results? Do you understand? From my point, how you can be able to get the same results what you would from a 15-year trial to a 6 month or a year trial?
It took it took about a year for them to develop the vaccine, because the first case was in December 2019 or February. It was early 2020 anyway. And then obviously they came with the vaccine last year. So it has been fast-tracked within that short period of time. So
yeah, and plus it's like, it is a perspective thing again, isn't it? Because I suppose the argument is, yes, they have skipped them processes, but when you're dealing with a pandemic, or when you're dealing with, like, you know, when you got a disease sweeping the country, killing people, then they kind of need the vaccine now, don't they? Like, they can't afford to wait 10, 15 years, or even 4 years, what the months took. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously, if people are dying, then sometimes you got to put yourself in the dying person's shoes, because if you were dying, or if your family was dying and all that, then you would want them to hurry up and bring the vaccine quick too, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it's one of them things, isn't it? So would you be the guinea pig? Because if you're dying, like he says, if you're in a dying position and someone comes and says, oh, we've got this treatment, it's not being tested, it's experimental, it might work, it might not. Yeah, would you take it? Because to me, that's a similar situation to what this is. But
what have you got to lose, though? Like, if you think about it, if you're already dying.
In that situation, but in the situation where you say, all right, then you're walking around healthy, we've got this experimental thing, yeah, for this thing, what you might catch, you might not catch it. Here, I'm gonna give it you. Are you so willing to take it then?
Well, that's the situation what we are in, aren't we? But in saying that, almost a lot of the medicine what people get from doctors is experimental. Like, obviously, you know, if you're getting antibiotics, or if you're getting paracetamol on certain things, then obviously they're pretty solid. But generally speaking, when they give you a medicines, they always say, if you have any problems or if you have any issues, come back and let us know. And that's because you are part of an ongoing case study yourself, aren't you?
Yes. We'll say with things like antibiotics and paracetamols, obviously the side effects of every single drug, every single vaccine,
True.
every single treatment. So, and that's possibly the same with this vaccine. But you're right, giving it to people who don't necessarily have the ailment. Just the same with flu. Normal every year, flu vaccines are offered to people who are vulnerable.
Yeah.
Which are the elderly, over 50, and people with health conditions. This is a form of flu. Yes, it's hot. It's more. It can get more people and it's more deadly. But this is offered to everyone, including now infants, children, everybody. Which, again, it's up to an individual if they're going to take it, and whether they feel that they need it in those instances.
No, it's true. I agree, bro.
Yeah. So moving on to the next slide. Okay, so as you know, the government rolled out the initiative to vaccinate 12 to 15-year-olds. Yeah, it's already started. Yeah. So it's like, how does it work? Is parental consent needed, and how much the actual children who's getting the vaccines know about it? Yeah. So apparently, see, I haven't got any children young enough now, yeah, to be having this issue and deciding whether or not they gonna take this vaccine. But apparently SAS or SAIS, school age immunization services, they're the ones who are going to be delivering the vaccine via the schools. Yeah. They're saying that consent forms will be sent out and parent consent is desired. Yeah. But if the child is deemed GLIC competent, which is then the child can override the parent's decision. So if the parent says no, I don't want my child to have it, and the child says I want it, and then there's some people, professionals within the SACE community, or say that, or we'll do a check competency test on them and see whether they're competent enough to make that decision by themselves. So in that position, then the child doesn't need the parent's consent. So it's about deciding what's competent. But how many children from the age of 12 to 15 actually know what it is that they're getting vaccinated with to be able to make that informed decision? I wouldn't know, but I'm guessing, because me as an adult, I don't really know too much about it. So I know children usually around that age, they're too busy with everything else. They've got other things in their life to be worrying about them, thinking, oh, what's this vaccine doing to me? Or what is it? Or do I need it? Or should I have it? So parents need to know more and inform them.
Yeah, as a parent myself, like, I don't like the idea of just in the system in general. So outside of the vaccine, there's many things what kids can do without their parents' consent that are actually quite serious things. Do you know what I mean? Which I feel like, you know what I mean, in one regard, you're saying that the children and the minors and that they're vulnerable and they need to be cared for. But then in another regard, you're like saying, oh no, they're old enough to make these big, important decisions without informing their parents. Like, for example, you know, abortion and all them things is one of them. So, you know, kids can go to clinic and certain things and not, you know, the parents would never know. And I don't know.
Go on, Math, speak. See your hands raised up there.
No, yeah, I would just say I'm totally against that. What you just said, 'cause I was even about that thing with the kids. I weren't 100% sure what it's about. So what you're saying is there that you can get the child, if they think that the child's competent enough to say that they can have the vaccine, they can get it done without your consent.
Yeah,
they can.
Yeah, basically. So you can say, no, I don't want my child to have it, but then you could send your child to school. The teachers and that could get the child in a room and say to him, oh, you need to have this. You know how peer pressure in schools happens with teachers.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mm.
And then
Next
minute, the child saying, okay, then, yeah, I'm going to have it. And you're at home thinking my child's not having it. And the child's been so-called. Next minute he comes home saying, oh, my arm's hurting me, I've had the jab. The teacher told me I had to have it.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
No, yeah, I'm definitely against that. In regards to the jab itself, I'm in a position, like I think to Kev said earlier, I don't know. And that's probably why it's caused me to be reluctant, because I just don't know enough at the moment. I don't feel confident enough to say I'm going to jump into something. You know what I mean? But I'm not. It's not like to say I'm totally saying that I'm against the jab. There's a small percent chance, or there's a percent chance that it is something what's needed and useful and what everyone's needs. But I'm just not got the confidence in it for whatever reason. I can't fully explain, to be honest. It's not necessarily to do with color, or you know, things around that either. It's just I just don't feel confident enough in it to go and take it at the moment. But in the future, it might be that I analyze it and change my mind again. So it's not something like I'm totally against, but at the moment I'm just in that place where I don't know enough to do it.
Sorry, go on, Lem.
Yeah, as a parent of a child in that age demographic there, I'm stuck with a quandary where one parent wants child to have it, one parent doesn't want child to have it, and child doesn't want to have it. So even in that instance, as you said, it's the education. As you said, you can, as a child can go and get the pill, child can have an abortion, child can do whatever and not necessarily tell the parents or the GPs telling anyone. That's between them. But the child can't go to a shop and buy a cigarette. Child can't go to the shop and buy a lottery ticket. Child can't go to the shop and buy a knife. Child can't go to the shop to buy anything, but they can make long-lasting impact decisions on their individual life, which I'm uncomfortable with in terms of the setting and the GPs and the school practices. But then it doesn't tally up with society, well, not necessarily society, but things of legal age which you can do, which just doesn't make sense. But as I said, there's a lot of people who are waiting to see what happens. As I said, it's been come out relatively quickly. You know, I know as a person who's been vaccinated, I've been vaccinated against hepatitis A. I've gone to Africa. We've gone to South America. I need it. I've had it. I know now I don't need it every year. I don't need 2 or 3 in a year. I need it. That's what immunization is supposedly for, is you get immunized and you don't need it anymore. That's a disease. Flu, you get a flu jab every year because there's different strains. Again, with this, people are on the 3rd jab within the space of less than a year. So, and yes, there is new strains, but does that mean there's going to be 3 strains a year? So you're going to need three jabs every year.
Yeah, and they're going to keep giving them you for free as well.
Exactly. So, and in the minute it's free, but we all know over time things that start free becomes profitability and becomes money making, which is already money making. So,
yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that as well, because like it says, the age for children, you can go to jail from 10 years old. You're deemed competent and know what you're doing from 10 years old. So if you commit a certain criminal offense, you're still deemed to know. So you get taken away from all what you know. So it is that catch. It's like one rule for one and a rule for another.
Yeah.
Depending on the scenario. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, go on. Sorry, you go.
So it's one of them. So for me, like I said, I haven't got no children that age, but my own personal experience with viruses, and for instance, when the MMR, I don't know how old some of the people here, but I remember when I was a kid and they were giving out the vaccinations, boys just had the measles and the mumps, and girls had the rubella, and then for some reason they decided to combine all of the vaccines together and give boys and girls the whole dose of all 3 of them.
All 3, yeah.
So for me, I've always looked at things and thought some things don't add up and don't make sense. So when it comes to the vaccination process, I've always been wary. Also, one of my sons has had, he had the MMR and the other one didn't. Now, one of them, the one who had it, caught mumps and he was hospitalized. And when I'm speaking to the doctors and I'm saying to the doctors, how come he's had his jab? How comes he's in hospital? He's supposed to be immune from this. They told me, oh, it's a different strain. So then I said to them, okay, what is the hospital going to do for him? The hospital says there's nothing that we can do. His body has to fight it itself. All we'll do is provide him with fluids and monitoring him. Yeah. So there. So, and then my other son, because he was around him, he caught mumps also. But all he didn't end up in hospital. His body actually fought it itself. And what happened to him, he literally had the symptoms of just the mumps, a few bumps around his neck and swollen. Yeah. But he was still active and he fought and it went. So little things through my life and my experiences have made me more away from vaccinations. Because like I said, one of my sons who was being vaccinated, he's got beer allergies and beer symptoms. The other one who hasn't, he hasn't. So there's a lot of things, and it could be coincidence, it might not be, but they're my views and my perceptions on what I've seen through my lifestyle with these vaccinations. Sorry, go on. Any Lem, hands up again, can speak.
Well, I would have said that I'm not saying everyone in the room is aware of things, but there certain diseases are rife in the world. So TB, we were all, some of us in this room were old enough to have the TB jab, and we were all given a test to see if we required it or not, and then we were given it, and then we would never need it again in life. Now, children in recent times, within the last 10 years, if not more, they don't no longer require the TB jab. Is TB still rife? TB is still rife. I say it's probably more prevalent now in people's homes than when we were at school. But yet, kids don't have it be immunized against it.
It's a good point, that. Good point.
Because TB is rife in if people living together, and you know, and there's more due to migration into the UK. There is more cases of TB, tuberculosis in the UK than when we were immunized for TB.
That's a good point.
So we were immunized against it. Yes, I understand to stay a bit away, but it wasn't rife in the country. It might have been a long time ago, but now kids don't get it, and I've seen it more than ever before.
Yeah, that's a good point. That.
Go on, Matthew. Sorry.
No, just saying. Yeah. So you guys are just saying what I'm going to ask. Really, I'm just thinking, like, what is it? What is it about this vaccine? What people think that's different from a lot of other vaccines? Because like you just said, we've been having vaccines for a long time, and and some of them we've not had no. It's just gone over our heads because, like you said, TB jab. We were young. We weren't even old enough to really understand what was going off when we got that 6 needles thing, and then the jab in your arm. But what do people think is different about this jab? Because, like I said, I'm undecided myself. I'm trying to see if I can even just follow my spirit. Because I think a lot with me as well, it's just like a lack of confidence in the system within itself, because a lot of things just seem to be wrong at the moment anyway. But we've had vaccines before and without even thinking about it. So I just wondered what's so different about this one.
I don't think there's anything different. I think, like, Len made a good point in saying that, like, you know what I mean? There's always, every single drug, there is a side effect. You know what I mean? Most of the time, if most of us are lucky, we don't feel that side effect. Like, you know, on a paracetamol, it says, you know, if you take this, it could give you a bellyache, it could give you a worse headache, it could give you all kinds of things. And most of us just take it and we don't have those horrible side effect syndromes, but they are possible still. And I think that's the case with any and all medicine. There's side effects and there's possibilities what could happen. So, do you know what I mean? That being said, it just is what it is, isn't it? If you're one of those people that is fortunate enough to just take it, and it just, you know, just like when you take paracetamol, you don't feel no strange side effects. It just helps you with your headache, and that's it. But if you're not one of them people, then, you know what I mean, you're going to wish that you never took it. So I don't think there's any real way to know until you do it. And that's why some people don't want to be guinea pigs with themselves, because you're almost playing it's a bit like a Russian roulette with yourself. Like, say, oh, if I take it, I don't know if it's actually going to like me or if it's going to mash me down.
Yeah, but the thing with that as well is, Kev, because as a playing like a bit of a devil's advocate at the same time, but not playing devil's advocate, because these are like serious balances I've tried to make up for myself. In the other sense, we're saying, like, we don't want this thing because we don't know what's in it. And I've seen like things on social with memes and that what kind of say the same thing. What I'm going to say is that there's a lot of things that we consume or take, but we don't know what's in it, but we just go with it. But with us, sometimes it's like, I think it's just your you pick and choose, innit? You pick and choose.
Yeah.
Even sometimes we know some things are bad for us and we still consumed it or took it. I mean, I had no problem with that. But yet with this, it's a big problem. So I'm trying to work out for myself to make the proper decision. What is the big problem? What we're all saying we have with it, and so you know what I mean. But on the other hand, I also know that it's a corrupt world that we live in, and something in my spirit's telling me that something's not right. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm holding off at the same time. Would you think that we might even end up all being forced to have it at one stage anyway, compulsory? And how would that look if how
Well, they're
would it look?
trying already. Can you remember when, I don't know, remember job centre back in the day when people didn't have bank accounts? Yeah. And you used to get a signing on book and you get gyro for your post, yeah. Now what they did there, they forced everybody to get bank accounts. And those who had bad credit, they gave them a post office account.
Post office account.
Yeah.
Yep.
So basically it's the same with this. What they will do, yeah, they will tell you you've got a choice, but they will put your hands behind your back and force you into having it. So that's what they're trying to do already. They've tried it and they've seen that, oh, with the passport thing, they were trying it there. Oh, you have to, but they've seen the backlash. So they had to pull back with that and they try a different method. Some of these, obviously, planes and destinations where you're going, they're wanting certain guarantees that you've had the jabs. So they'll limit you. So they say you've got a choice to have it, but they'll say you can't go here or you can't do that. Go on, then.
I've always thought it's discrimination, and in any form of if they said to an individual, you need to have a COVID jab to go into a restaurant, that is discrimination. That's like saying, unless you can prove to me you've not got HIV, or you've not got hepatitis, or you've not got diphtheria, or you've not got some other infectious disease, you can't come into this place. And that to me is like going back to card carrying days of Nazi Germany or apartheid or anything else, where to show you're black, you can't come to this fountain. You've got to drink a different fountain over around the corner. You can't come into this place because you've got a Star of David around your neck. You've got to go to that bush place. And I think in terms of legal and discrimination, that is why they've held back with certain things. Yes, they have been trying to make it more difficult, but even then, the government is not, since the laws have changed again, the government is not saying you need to do this. It's individual companies that have started bringing out policies about it because there's no law about it.
Yeah. Okay. So moving on, onto, all right, does having the vaccine protect against COVID-19? And can you still get COVID-19 after the vaccine? So from here, government website says, like all medicines, no vaccine is completely effective. So you should continue to take recommended precautions to avoid infection. Some people may still get COVID-19 despite having a vaccination, but this should be less severe. Yeah. So also it says, how does the vaccine work? So it says, when we receive a vaccine, it stimulates our immune system to produce antibodies like it would if we were infected with the actual virus. These antibodies remain in our body, so if we are exposed to the virus in future, we can quickly fight off the disease before we become ill. So that's basically telling us about the immune system. And so the vaccine, it's not completely effective, but no vaccine is, as we know. Like I said, I've seen that in my experience with my own son. He had the vaccine and still got mumps. Yeah, different strain. So, but what interests me is how it works. It says it stimulates our immune system, to produce antibodies. Yeah. So with the thing, so what's the human immune system? Do you know what I mean? What is it? What's this thing? What it stimulates to protect us? Yeah. And so basically, the immune system protects your body from from outside invaders such as bacteria, viruses, fungi, toxins, chemicals produced by microbes. It's made of different organ cells and proteins that works together. So we're focusing on viruses. So the immune system protects against viruses. Yeah. So it says when the body senses foreign substances called antigens, the immune system works to recognize the antigens and get rid of them. lymphocytes are triggered to make antibodies, also called immunoglobulins. These proteins lock onto specific antigens. After they're made, antibodies usually stay in our bodies in case we have to fight the same germ again. Yeah. So how does it fight the viruses? Via cytotoxic cells, via inflorescence, and via antibodies. So this is how our body naturally fights these things. And so what the vaccine is doing, it's simulating the virus, or a low degree of the virus, to stimulate our bodies to do what it would do naturally if we came and encountered it ourselves. Yeah. So the human body. So for me, I've got a few notes here about what these things do. So the cytotoxic cells, yeah, these are special cells of the immune system called T cells. They circulate looking for infections. One type of a T cell is the cytotoxic T cell, because it kills cells that are infected with viruses, with toxic mediators. Cytotoxic T cells have specialized proteins on their surface that help them recognize virally infected cells. These proteins are called T cell receptors. Yeah. Each of these T cell receptors specifically recognize a particularly antigenic peptide bound to a molecule. Look, this is all scientific terms, so stay with me if you can, because I'm struggling myself.
Dr. Gavin, you're doing a good job today, pal.
Yeah.
Go on.
And if the T cell receptors detect a peptide, yeah, from a virus, it warns it. The T cell warns its T cell of an infection. The T cell releases the cytotoxic factors to kill the infected cell, and therefore prevents survival of the invading virus. So that's one of the things that's in our body that fights these viruses. The others, the inferions, and then the antibodies. Yeah, and antibodies can remove, viruses can also be removed from body by antibodies before they get the chance to infect the cell. Antibodies are proteins that specifically recognize invading pathogens and bind to them. This binding serves many purposes in eradication of the virus. Yeah, this is all available on there's links below. So if people want to go and look it up and actually find out more, instead of having me dictate to them, they can go and check it out. So for me, basically, the human body is made to fight diseases, viruses when we encounter them. Now, for me personally, when we get a vaccine, it bypasses a lot of our already protective things what our body's got to protect it before the actual virus gets into the blood or becomes a cell. But when you get the vaccine, you put it straight into your blood or straight into your cell, and that's only when the virus is. So you can get sick, because I've seen a lot of people who's had just the jab, and it's like they've got the actual virus, the mash up for days, weeks. Yeah, mash up for weeks, because it's spiked or triggered that. Yeah, because it's gone past all. And I've been in contact with people with the virus. I'll say that I haven't had the jab. Yeah, I haven't had jab. I'm not really looking to have the jab right now. If I had children, I wouldn't give them the jab right now. I'd make them get properly educated and make them make an informed decision. Yeah, because I think that's the only way to go forward, especially with us in our community. We have to know what we're doing. We have to have trust and confidence in what we're doing. And currently, through history, that trust and confidence has been severed for me personally. And I trust and believe in my own body and my own design. And so I'll have the confidence that if I encounter this virus, then my body will deal with it in the best way that it can. And hopefully, it's not a fatality with myself. You understand? But I'm not looking to have the virus on a just in case. I've got insurance for that, just in case something happens. So that's my perspective on that. But there's also prevention methods, as we know. Keep your hands clean, practice social distancing, clean and disinfect your home, wear cloth face masks. These are all from the websites what are below, so you can see and go and look there for yourself. But yeah, on the points.
What surprised me is that those things, when it first came out, are basic things which every human being should be doing anyway.
Yes.
And it just showed to me that I work with the directors and even environmental services, they weren't practicing those methods, keeping your hands clean, disinfecting your home, things like that, which, to be honest, it was amazing that disinfectant sold out within the first couple of months because people weren't keeping their home and bodies clean. So I just felt to myself, people never use soap, people never use disinfectant, people never use Dettol. I was surprised in it all at the beginning. And even now that the government has to tell you to wash your hand after you go pee-pee, after you have to go filth. I just could not believe that the government had to tell you that, put it on signs outside your house, outside shop, for people to actually listen and do that.
Yep.
Well, sometimes, you know, yeah, like you can overthink bacteria, can't you? Like for example, you know, some people want to wrap babies up in cotton wool and they don't want them to go outside and play in the garden and play in the mud and all that. But as we know, some exposure to things is good for kids. It allows them to build up immune system and allows them to, you know what I mean, get stronger. So I think it's the same for humans to a certain extent. Like, I mean, the grown-ups, you know, we need a little bit of exposure. It makes you get stronger.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So wrapping yourself in cotton wool is not always like, I don't know. There's a thin line between that, isn't there? Like, yes, you're supposed to clean your hands and all that, but
It's like, that's what like Gav was saying, that's the immune system, innit? It's the white blood cells. So if you get a little bit of something, the white blood cells start trading up against that thing. And then when it's gone, it's harder for it next time because it gets itself ready, innit? It's like got a memory to itself.
yeah.
So it remembers the battles, what it's just said. So it's a fine balance. But I think, like I said, it's about getting the right information in it. And I think at the moment, the world's followed by like it's more of a mass thing. So if everyone's doing this, I need to do this. So if so and so told me to do this, it must be that I need to do it. And then like those who haven't followed that status quo, they get judged, don't they? You know what I mean? It's like you haven't got a right to be questioning it. You must just go and
they
do
get
it.
ostracized.
Yeah.
So they're the little things what put me off. You know, because you should have a genuine opportunity to make an informed decision, regardless of how long that makes you take.
We made some good points, dear. Yeah. Go on, Ben. Have you finished?
Yeah. Finished. Yeah.
No, like to say, the immune system, I just got the vision there, like to say. Because I know people, and I'm sure you know people that have caught it and basically they fought it off like a cold. And now I'm not even sure what position they're in regarding like, will they catch it again? Or will it be the same if they catch it again? Like, has their body now built up some kind of immune system to it? Because I know people that have had it, not took the jab, they fought it off like it was a cold, and now they're just living the life like normal again. Do you know what I mean?
My understanding is that you can catch it again, and I know people say that they've had it more than once. But this is more again of the unknown, isn't it? A lot of these things are unknown facts about what's going on. So I've said from the start when it first started a year or so ago, I'm bamboozled. You know what I mean? I'm bamboozled. And anything's possible. So that all adds to the anxieties.
Yeah, but I think it depends on your state of immune system, doesn't it? Because basically, especially after what Gav said about the body having, you know, triggering and fighting off things like this itself, which clearly some of us have done because some of us have had it and fought it off naturally and come out the other side. So that means to say, if you're somebody who's got a weak immune system or, you know, not a strong immune system and you get that, then you might need some help from you know, from the vaccine.
And the other thing, again, it's a devil's advocate kind of look at it. Don't get me wrong. I've made it be known what my stance is at the moment. But I'm just thinking like, if you do get sick with this thing, you know what I mean, you'll be the unlucky one. And the doctors come with medication, which is different from vaccine. Medication is to fix you back. Then you're not even going to question that, are you? You're just going to say, chuck that inside me straight away. You know what I mean?
I know.
So this is like where whichever way you look at it, we kind of, you know, so you have to be sensible about how you're looking at it still.
Well, that's how. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. And I think all of us are saying, like, when pain comes, we just want a solution, don't we? We don't care what the solution is. We just want a solution.
Yeah, it's just solution time.
Yeah.
Go on, Lem. You got your hand raised, yeah?
Or was it raised from before? I think he just had it, just like forgot to put it down.
Yeah, I forgot to put it down.
Okay, well, like I said, thanks for coming. The next one's on this slide. There's all links on here to all where I've got all the information. So anybody wants to come and check it out can go and look for themselves and find out some more information themselves about the vaccine and stuff. And it's all there for you, for the people that's come. I'd like to thank everybody for coming. And if you want to see what Unity Project's got in store, and stay tuned, you can find us on any of the socials below, the Facebook, the Instagram, and YouTube. You can watch this back. You can watch the flicks and chats from all the sessions before. And we're going to have more stuff coming to you about what affects us in our community and what we're planning to do. So thanks for everybody who's turned up. And for those who haven't turned up, but for those that watch it back, thanks for watching. And we'll see you on the next podcast.